Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending what time of day you happen to be accessing this video link. Thank you for clicking on the link. This is the first of a series of videos we'll put together to try and support our options process for young people. Normally, in a normal academic year, we would have a curriculum information evening where parents would be invited along to hear from speakers and ask questions, but it's obviously not a normal academic year, so we're trying to work a wee bit differently to give you all the tools, resources that you need to help young people make good choices, whether they're progressing into S3 or into the senior phase. So I thought it'd be useful to start with a wee introduction, which will talk about the profile of the school, a little bit about the vision for the curriculum, and also about learner pathways, which are an important part of the learner's journey through secondary school. So if I talk first of all about our school community, our community at Queen Margaret Academy, we are a community of faith and learning. We're the only denominational school within South Ayrshire, which means our catchment area is wide and varied. It goes beyond South Ayrshire, and we take a number of placing requests in from East Ayrshire. And this gives us, like I say, a very mixed cohort from a wide socio-economic context. Our school also includes a supported learning centre, which is a provision for up to 50 pupils with more significant learning needs, but many of whom can access classes within our mainstream. And most importantly, we are a community who are committed to allowing our values every day, and these values we can see along the bottom of the page now: of community, ambition, responsibility, equity, faith and respect. In terms of our profile, particularly within the senior phase, it's changed days now where the majority of people do stay on at school, so 90% on average. This can obviously change a wee bit year in, year out, but on average 90% would stay on to S5, 85% would stay on to S6. Within that, the intended destinations for these people, just under half would go into university, a large portion to college, 13% to employment, although I would say that figure's starting to rise, where I think people are really seeing the value in many modern apprenticeships, and 7% may go on to other education or training provision. So it's wide, it's varied, and whatever your child's intended destination is, there'll be a package of support there that we can put in place to help them get there. Our vision for the curriculum is we want a curriculum which is coherent and it makes sense to our young people. We want every child to have the opportunity to obtain a variety of qualifications and building on that skills for life, for learning, life and work. I think if we look at these two together, it's about trying to move the curriculum on a wee bit from the more traditional form of just achieving Nat 4s and Nat 5s, and it's to try and build in wider achievement and give other opportunities, for example, for vocational learning as they move through the school. Personal support is something that is an entitlement to all young people, and I think something in the current climate is going to be very important that we're managing to support the well-being of our young people, especially as they transition back into school just now and through the senior phase. And finally, school really is about transitions. From the moment they transition in from primary 7, we need to stop thinking about school, I suppose, as 6 different or up to 6 different discrete years, but more as one journey. So it's about having that journey through secondary school and making sure at the end of it that you can secure a positive and sustained destination. If I talk about learner pathways now, I alluded to that idea of a learner's journey through secondary school. Learner pathways are very, very important to us, and it's about making sure that we're having regular conversations with our learners and your child at home about where they see themselves, what they want to do, because that will obviously impact the subjects they choose and how they learn in school. It's very easy to think about learner pathways if you're sure what you want to do. So pupils sometimes from day one want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a PE teacher or a mechanic or a nurse. So for many of these young people, choosing subjects is a wee bit easier, and you can choose subjects that are suited to their future plans. For pupils who are less clear on their chosen career path, it's about maybe keeping your options open, so a broader selection of subjects that opens more doors. But finally, what I would say is for all young people to consider wider achievement options as they move through the school. Very often you have pupils leaving, for example, end of 6th year with a strong suite of qualifications, but not much else to add to it. So it's important that opportunities for vocational learning, working with partners, work experience opportunities, leadership, that all young people consider these, as they will support them when it comes to doing application forms or personal statements for college and university. So Learner Pathways really is about managing transitions all the way through the school, making good choices, picking the right subjects, and having a clear plan. And it's also, on that note, about having a plan even for when you don't have a plan. So if you're that young person, and who are many, who don't know what they want to do when they leave school, make sure you're building on, or you're working through subjects that are suited to your skills, your interests, your abilities, because by doing that and keeping your options open, you'll have more to choose from when it comes to leaving school, be it the end of 4th year or 5th year or the end of 6th year. To talk you through a few examples of learner pathways, and again, maybe some of the ones that are a wee bit less obvious than people who know exactly what they want to do, these are real case scenarios. So pupil A here in 3rd year have picked a variety of options from all curricular areas. In S4 they've narrowed that down, where they've still managed to keep it fairly broad. So they've got the maths, English, they've got a science, a language, a social subject and a practical subject. They've then progressed, very able people who scope well in that 5, they've progressed on to higher levels in S5 and picked up an extra qualification in photography. And then when it comes to S6, they can see where their real strength lies. Their passion is in music, they really enjoy physics. And from that, which started as a very kind of broad suite of qualifications, not being clear on what they want to do, it slowly started to narrow, and they've ended up applying for university for a Masters in Engineering, Electronics and Music. So this is a good example of someone who clearly has strong academic ability, but maybe isn't clear from day one what they want to do. But by keeping their options open and narrowing it gradually, they can start to focus on what they enjoy, what they're really good at, and that can lead them on to a good positive destination. If we look at pupil B, for example, a similar story where it's quite broad in S3, they're picking from all the curricular areas. It then moves into S4 where there's a kind of combination of National 4 and National 5 qualifications, still broad, where you've got practical, you've got a language, you've got a science and a social subject. In S5, that allows them to consolidate and build on their National 5s, pick up some more hires. By S5 and 6, they're also looking at wider achievement options or working with college where they're doing leadership, but also a foundation apprenticeship in social services, which has led them on to an HNC in health and social care. So again, somebody who doesn't have that clear idea of what they want to do, but by picking a broad suite of qualifications, slowly narrowing down, you can see they've ended up in a good qualification at college, something that they're interested in, something they want to do, building on very much what they've done as part of the foundation apprenticeship. For pathway C here, as a young person who maybe isn't keen on staying on to the end, isn't ready to move on to, or doesn't want to move on to college or a university, more keen in the world of work, they've focused more on practical subjects through S4, then into S5, and by doing that, by the end of S5, they're in a position to be applying for modern apprenticeship, and in this case, in joinery. So that's somebody who maybe learns practically, likes hands-on work, likes being in the workshop, and they've managed to sustain or find their positive destination. So it's about making good choices as they move through. I've mentioned a couple of times this word vocational pathways. Something we are doing within our curriculum is giving a much wider offer on what we offer beyond the kind of traditional subjects. So if you look here within the BGE, the variety of things that are available to our young people: cycle maintenance, automotive, working with the Prince's Trust, creative industries, sports leaders part of a wider package within the PE department, digital leaders lab skills. So there's plenty there to choose from. And then building on that into the senior phase, we can continue with these subjects, but in a way that helps you secure qualifications at NAT 4, NAT 5 level, and also work closely in partnership with Ayrshire College. And by doing that, it gives you a variety of options leaving school. You can go into college, but also does prepare you much better for getting into the world of work. So that's very much a whistle-stop tour of the vision for the curriculum, the profile of the school, and an idea of learner pathways. The next video I would urge you to click on will be more specific to your child's learner journey. So if they're moving from S2 into S3, or if they're moving into or progressing through the senior phase. So thank you for listening, and we'll hopefully see you in the next video.